What's good, everybody? I have the most ratchet ass setup right now. I'm in my parents' room. The whole bathroom's getting remodeled. I've been away for like 4 days because I wasn't able to do anything in my room, in my sister's room, in nobody's room. And given recent events, I thought it would be a very promising, a very interesting idea to talk about my biggest heartbreaks as an MMA fan. I am a newer MMA fan. I got into the sport about 4 to 5 years ago. And in that time, when I got into the sport, it was a little bit dead. It was at the time where Conor McGregor was gone. We didn't really have John Jones being as active as he was before. We didn't have any major stars in the sport. So I got into a time where it was kind of dead. And that brings these biggest heartbreaks, these biggest tragedy moments for me as an MMA fan, coming more as of recent, right? So let's get right into it with some honorable mentions. I have 2 here that I want to talk about, and these are going to be in order. So this first honorable mention is one I really don't care that much about, but I have to say the Pantoja arm break was very, very tragic for me. If you guys have followed my channel for any amount of time, you know I love to glaze the flyweight division. I do think that is actually the best division in the sport right now. We have Manel Kape, we have Joshua Van, we have Alexandre Pantoja now, Tatsuro Taira, Loner Kavanaugh just lost, but Brandon Royval's back. We have one of the most competitive divisions. It's been historically one of the most skillful divisions. I think we have everything. And this matchup, I was really looking forward to it. And I had confidently picked, Alexandre Pantoja to win. And now I think coming back, Joshua Van has more experience. He has more 5-round experience. He fought and beat Tatsuro Taira super convincingly. I'm very excited to see where this goes, where this rematch goes. But this was tragic, because this whole card was leading up. I remember this was I believe, was it Merab versus... I think this was the Merab card, and this was the fight I was honestly more excited than the main event. But man, it is what it is. It happened, and we're going to get the rematch soon, I hope so. Let's get into it, right? On to the next honorable mention is the McGregor injury. Now, I know this one might be a lot higher up for a lot of people on their lists, but me personally, I got into the sport at a time where Conor McGregor was not that guy. All right? He's always been that guy. He's always historically been the biggest star, whatever. Motherfucker only lasted 69 seconds in there. I'm sure for a long, long time, MMA fans, you guys were very excited to see Conor McGregor come back. I was excited. It was my first ever live Conor fight. I got into the sport right after the Donald Cerrone fight. And I was excited. I was ready to see what the hype was about. Let's see this guy got in. He had a lot of aura, come to the cage. But his haircut and his big-ass steroid head, he just looked washed, bro. I don't know how to describe it. He did not look like I imagined him to look walking out there. Came out there, threw out a jumping sidekick, got injured maybe in the octagon. Maybe he got injured before. But it was tragic. You never want a main event to end that way. You never want a Conor McGregor hype fight week to just culminate in that bullshit. All right? So unfortunate that it had to go that way. It is what it is. On to the 10th most tragic event for me as an MMA fan. And we're starting off hot. The DDP versus Khamzat event, man. This whole fight week, the art surrounding this fight week, the people talking about it, DDP by falling piano, fucking Khamzat round 1 submission. This really looked like an unstoppable force versus an immovable object. Like DDP, I could never imagine DDP getting finished, and I couldn't imagine Khamzat winning a decision. It was like Khamzat by finish early or DDP decision. It was the only 2 ways that we saw this fight going, and it didn't go either way. There was no injury. There was no, nothing tragic really happened. It was just a fight that I was honestly, it was probably my top 5 most hyped I've been for a UFC fight. And it just didn't deliver in any way. The African Lion King versus the Wolf of Chechnya, Khamzat Chimaev. This was going to feed families for generations. We were expecting a war. I was expecting a split decision win for either fighter, or a DDP late finish. I picked against Khamzat in that fight. But yeah, man. It was just tragic watching Khamzat hold down DDP for 5 rounds. And it was honestly something that Khamzat could tell, or DDP could tell, that he was not expecting. We could tell this man had not prepared to be smudged. He thought, okay, I'm going to get wrestled for the first, maybe second round. I have to defend the submission, and then I'm going to go get him. And then instead, he just got he just got fucking held in crucifix for 5 rounds. Honestly, a very embarrassing showcase for DDP. Khamzat walked out of there with no damage and proceeded to not fight for another year plus. All right? I'm glad we're getting DDP this weekend. I'm hyped to see my boy back. I think he's actually going to dominate Kamaru Usman. It's not going to be a close matchup at all. I'll make a video about that soon. But yeah, man, on to the next event. Now, this one is a lot like the DDP versus Hamza situation, but the difference is that I really cared about my boy, bro. Watching Pereira get smudged by Ankalaev was, like I said, top 10 biggest heartbreaks as an MMA fan. That shit was fucking tragic because we knew that was a possibility, right? That's maybe why it's not as high up on the list. We knew that was a possibility. Of course, Ank, Dagestan, like a little bit smudge wrestler. He has that ability in the light heavyweight division. Not that many people have good wrestling up there. We knew that was a possibility, but watching it come to fruition slowly, round after round, watching Pereira fear the threat of the takedown so much that he would actually end up losing the stand-up where he was supposed to win. And just watching him in Eek, 48-47 decision. It wasn't even like a 50-45, it wasn't anything definitive. It was just tragic, man. This was the same card as the Bobby Green getting knocked out by Mauricio Rufy. I think, was it Fiziev was also on this card? I don't know. It was a very good card coming up to this fight. And this fight just killed all the momentum, man. It was really tragic watching this shit. But it is what it is. It was hard. It was a very hard watch as a Pereira fan, but I am very glad he got that one back with the knockout in the second fight. He really put a stamp on it, and no one is calling for a trilogy, all right, between these two. No one gives a fuck, and I'm glad because Ankalaev deserves to burn in the pits of MMA hell, all right? On to the next situation. Now, I must warn you, this heartbreak list, is not just fight results. It's not just this fighter lost and I'm sad, or this fighter won and I didn't want him to win. This is everything. Situations, moments, context, all right? Starting off with the Shavkat layoff. This has been one of the most sad, tragic things to watch as an MMA fan. Shavkat's always been injury prone. He has taken a lot of time between his fights, likely because of injury, right? I don't think this guy's just inactive for the fuck of it, right? But it's been so sad watching this man, undefeated, 19-0, took away, Ian Gary's, another really promising prospect. He's going to be fighting for the number one contendership right now. A guy who beat Carlos Prates. I'm watching Ian Gary get these opportunities. Carlos Prates get this talk of a title fight. Meanwhile, Shavkat's out of the rankings. And there's nothing we can do about it. I can't just riot and be like, oh, the UFC hates this man and they put him out the rankings because, they don't like him. It's because he's injured and he can't fight. And that feeling of just I can't do anything about it, me, this random Spanish man, I can't get my Kazakh back in there in the rankings. Ian Gary fighting for the title, man, that should have been Islam, bro. He was supposed to fight. Who was he supposed to fight? He was supposed to fight Bilal, had to pull out. JDM comes in, beats Bilal. Islam comes in, beats JDM. It was supposed to be Shavkat, bro. We were supposed to have Shavkat beating Bilal, right? Shavkat then versus Islam. What a banger fight. Shavkat, Islam versus JDM, you guys probably forgot already, but on paper, that matchup was great. Everyone was super excited for that matchup. Came to, JDM got smudged. Didn't make my top 10 list, but it definitely was a little bit sad. He got smudged by Islam. I'm glad, though, Islam won in any way because I want him to become the GOAT, blah, blah, blah. But just think of that matchup, Shavkat versus Islam. It's so much more enticing and so much cooler than what we got. So, yeah, man, Shavkat layoff. This Shavkat injury is still ongoing to this day. Every time he posts a video of his recovery, he just looks so washed. He looks like a father going through divorce, man. It's so hard. It's so hard to see. And then his family had that car accident, had to pull out as well. Man, pray for Shavkat, man. I love my Kazakh boys. Shout out to all my Kazakh friends. I'm hyped, bro. I'm hyped to see him come back. Hopefully he can come back. All right, on to the next situation. Number 7, the stalling of Tom Aspinall. Like I said, this can be situations, this can be context. This whole Tom Aspinall saga, at the beginning, was just oh man, Jones is scared, ha ha ha, yeah. But we thought we're gonna see this fight, right? No! This motherfucker comes in, right? Beats Cyril Gane, does nothing with the belt for however long, right? Comes back, fights fucking Stipe Miocic. Whole time, Tom Aspinall's running through the division. Curtis Blades, he lost by injury, right? He got Volkov. He got fucking Spivak. It doesn't matter. He got all of the guys. He got, Sergey Pavlovich. He beat him for the interim. I think on the same card or a nearby card that they were supposed to fight on. And then we're thinking, all right, we're going to get Jones versus, Aspinall. This killer, just athletic heavyweight versus one of the guys with the highest IQ, arguably the GOAT of the sport. We're going to get this fight. John Jones was like, hey, I'm going to take a little bit longer. He's stalling. He's this, that. Negotiations. Okay. In the meanwhile, Tom Aspinall defends his interim belt against Curtis Blades. Smokes him in a round. Great result, right? Everything we wanted to see. Tom Aspinall, still stalling. Not Tom Aspinall. John Jones, still stalling. Ends up fighting Stipe Miocic, right? He beats the decrepit Stipe Miocic. I remember watching that shit in Singapore as well. Tragic, right? I wanted Stipe to knock this motherfucker out, but I knew this shit was gonna happen. And then finally, when John Jones retires, stops holding up the division, stops holding up like Tom Aspinall's career, because this guy has the potential to be the greatest heavyweight of all time, right? I don't think anyone would argue that at all. When John Jones finally leaves, Tom Aspinall becomes undisputed. Cyril Gane comes up, gets his shot against Tom Aspinall, and double finger fucking brain fucks him with his index and middle finger and has him out of commission, right? In the first round. And now that's 2 years now. That's 2 years now, bruv. That's 2 years we haven't seen Tom Aspinall. And this is who I think will be the greatest heavyweight of all time. And we just haven't seen him fight. Because of this, because of that, because of John Jones, because of Cyril Gane's long ass fingers. I'm fucking glad Spain beat the fuck out of France in the World Cup. Alright? If you guys were watching that shit, I watched that shit live in near my city with like 5,000 other Spanish people. Hype. I got that penalty goal. I got it on camera, the reaction of the crowd. I got the reaction of the crowd when the final whistle sounded and we won. Hype, man. I'm glad France got fucking obliterated. You guys deserve that. All right? On to the number 7 spot, or the number 6 spot. The 6th most tragic event. We're going back to a fight result. Volk versus Topuria. Now, as a Spanish casual, you guys might say, hey, what's the problem, right? You got your first ever Spanish champion in the UFC. No one else looks promising at all, right? Joe Alvarez getting ragdolled. Alexander Topuria is fighting once every blue moon, right? No one else is looking promising. Who am I waiting for? Etcher Sosa, bro? I'm not waiting for Etcher Sosa to get a title shot. Yeah, you guys might not understand, but Volkanovski was my boy way before Ilya was even in the UFC. Way before I even knew who Ilya was, bro. This was my guy. Volkanovski was my guy. Ortega fight. Volkanovski versus Yair. Volk in the Max trilogy. I wasn't watching those live, but I saw what was going on. I saw this guy become the GOAT. He's a family man. He's bald and shiny. He loves to cook. I love his personality. He's like one of the nicest guys in the UFC. Watching him get slimed out, I felt like Thanos throwing Gamora, right? Sacrificing his own daughter for one of the stones. That's what it felt like to me, because my friend who puts money on the game, shout out to you, he makes parlays and shit. I told him, hey, Ilya Topuria, round 2 knockout. That's how it's going to go. And he's like, well, why do you think that? Whatever. Volkanovski, his defense, he has a very long reach. He has long-ass arms. His way of defending is holding his arms out and pulling his head straight back. And that's good against guys that throw 2, maximum 3 punch combinations. Ilya Topuria is throwing them fuckers, bro. Ilya Topuria is throwing them 5, 6, 7 punch combinations, all right? He's going to get caught on the end of those, and he got caught. It is what it is, bro. It was hard. I was watching this at like maybe 5 a.m., 6 a.m. in a parking lot with my friend in his car. Just like, I remember watching the Marab versus Henry Cejudo fight before. Watching a couple fights before. Very interesting. I think it was the first card he watched that wasn't on European time. So I'm glad he got to see, this first Spanish champion become, crowned. But it was hard. It was really hard watching Volk here. And Volk will actually come up, spoiler alert, in another one of these picks, all right? So we'll talk about him later. On to the 5th. Now going into the top 5. These moments, for real, hurt my soul. And starting with the Oliveira versus Topuria. You would never think I'm Spanish looking at how many times Topuria is on my list, bro. Number 6 and number 5 spot is just Topuria sliming out some of my favorite fighters. Charles is a situation with Volkanovski, except it's not excusable, With Volkanovski, I could cope a little bit. It's first time Spanish champion. It has a lot of weight. It has a lot of meaning. Volkanovski had just gotten knocked out by Islam Makhachev, right? So, his chin was a little bit worse. I could cope a little bit. But with this, man, there was no coping. There was really no coping. Oliveira was going to go get his belt back. And I knew Topuria was going to get him, bro. I picked Topuria round 3 knockout. I forget when the knockout was. Maybe it was round 2, round 3. Just watching him slime, watching him slept. And the worst part was what he was saying after. I didn't know where I was. I'd never gotten KO'd like that. I considered retiring. My girl talked me out of it. Like, all of that was just hitting me so hard. To think that this could have been the last time we see Charles in the octagon, and it really felt like that. It really did. It felt like watching this knockout, like we've seen the end of Charles. Like, it's really like the end. And the way Ilya was talking about him, I'm sorry it had to be you, bruh. They were talking about their kids in the sauna before, like, I'm sorry it had to be you. It really felt like we were watching the end of Oliveira. Like, he was just fucking dead. This was his funeral, right? The whole vibe was just sad. Just tragic. This was not one of the ones where I was like, no! Like, my heart didn't drop to my balls when this fight happened because I expected it, but it was still hard, you know? It's like watching a grandparent pass away and you know, like, they've been going for a little bit and then they go. You know, you were expecting it, but it still hurts, man. Sorry to get so dark. On to, this shit really means something to me, bro. This shit means something, all right? On to the fourth worst moment as an MMA fan for me. And this has to be, without a doubt, the fucking Pereira versus Gon at the White House. Not only is my favorite fighter of all time getting slimed out at the White House, not only is he getting slimed out in front of people, you know, in front of the presidents, giving these pedophiles entertainment, right? Not only is it by a French man who was landing back of the head shots, right? The worst of all is that my GOAT came in there with the jiggliest BBL I've ever seen in my life. Looking fat and slow, bruh. My GOAT, the man who was built in a lab in a fucking tire shop in Brazil to bring us the first ever UFC triple champ, just ruined, bro. This has the makings to be my number one most hated event, most hated moment, most tragic moment, because a French fighter won, right? And we know how we feel about France around here. French fighter won. My favorite fighter of all time lost. He got KO'd. He lost in a way that really makes you mad, you know, getting those back of the elbow shots. He lost in front of a crowd that didn't give a fuck about him. This was just for show, you know, to get the American populace, to get their minds off of certain other important topics that I won't say because I'm going to get demonetized. And on top of everything, it ruined the chance of such a historic event as getting a triple champ. Because who else is going to do it, bro? Ilya now lost to Gaethje. Who knows if he's ever going to get the chance to go up to welterweight? Who knows if he'll just retire? Like, literally, it was fucking Alex Pereira and Ilya, bro. And maybe Conor McGregor in his prime, if he had locked in a little bit, didn't go to boxing, featherweight champion, lightweight champion, and maybe welterweight champion, right? But now, we gotta wait. We got so close with this Pereira thing. Maybe he'll come back. Maybe he'll beat two blobs and be in the title picture and be able to fluke Tom Aspinall. But he's gonna be like 41, bro. He's gonna be like 42. He's gonna be like pushing 60, bro, at that point. Who knows? Who knows? It was just tragic. And it's one of those things. It makes it tragic because of how much we lost. All right? On to the third most tragic event, the top three. This was one of those events that made me go, no! No! Yuri! No! This was so fucking bad, bro. This was... Oh, my God. I'm scaring the cats in my room right now. Yuri versus Oldberg was the worst thing ever, bro. You watch that shit live and you think it's over. Yuri, I want Yuri to become champ. This guy hasn't lost to anyone ever except Alex Pereira, right? He comes in there looking great. Oldberg injures his fucking leg. Amazing. I don't like Oldberg. I don't care about him at all in the slightest. I could care less about an Oldberg as a light heavyweight champion, right? I made a video talking about what's the best and worst thing of each division, why the flyweight division is the best. And I talked about the only good thing in the light heavyweight division right now is the existence of Yuri Prochazka. And that's true. And that's fucking true. He's meant to be the light heavyweight champion, bro. Alex Pereira came in, as a tourist. I'm passing by, gonna get the belt, gonna beat you 2 times, and then I'm going. That's okay. Yuri is the guy. He is the light heavyweight champion. Carlos Oldberg injured his knee. Great. Yuri does what he's supposed to do. Kicking the knee, whatever. Carlos Oldberg throws like 3 check left hooks, which is his only chance at this point to win the fight. If this goes into the corner, if this guy goes and sits down on a stool, his corner stopping that shit, right? And Yuri gets hit by the 3rd check hook and gets dropped bad. Way worse than any time he's gotten dropped by fucking Alex Pereira. And it was just, no! The worst thing ever, bro. The worst thing ever. I couldn't watch that fight live because I had an exam the next day. I woke up, checked my phone. Yuri Prochazka got knocked out round 1. Watched the replay. What happened? Right? I'm expecting Carlos Ulberg was just too good for him. I watched that replay. Carlos Ulberg tweaked his fucking knee. And Yuri Prochazka couldn't take advantage of it. Motherfucker, lock in! Yuri, I love you, bro. I love you. I need you to come back. Come back stronger than ever. You can still be the light heavyweight champion. Come back and beat a blob. I don't care. Beat Volkan Ozdemir. Beat fucking Paulo Costa. Beat Ankalaev. Come back and get it back for us. For us, okay? On to the number 2 worst moment as an MMA fan. Some of you can guess where this one's going to go. Without a doubt, it has to be, I mentioned it earlier, the Volk versus Islam head kick. Fucking hell. I never thought I struggled with it, you know? Like, this guy, oh, my goat. Everything I said about him versus Ilya applies here. I remember watching this event. I was in this house that I'm in right now, in this apartment I'm in right now. I was watching in the living room because it was in Abu Dhabi time, so the main event was around 9-10 p.m. And that's dinner time for us Spanish people, right? So I was watching that shit. My mom was making some, I think it's called Russian potato salad, right? Where you got that mayonnaise, you got tuna. She was making that shit. Smelled delicious, right? I'm very excited to eat. But I was nervous, I couldn't eat because I was nervous watching this fight. I've never put money on a fight, but I put money on Volk to upset Islam because I just wanted to manifest it. I wanted to bring Volk into this, like, yeah, man, he's stepping in on short notice. He's going to get it. He's going to show everyone why he's the GOAT. Make this man pound for pound number 1. Comes in, gets head kicked. Crying, bro. Had me tearing up at the dinner table. Whole appetite gone. Mama, appreciate you. Thank you for the salad. I'm not going to eat that shit, bro. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to eat nothing. I ain't eating nothing. Maybe for the next couple days. Whole appetite gone. Vanished. Disappeared. That head kick, man. Just watching him slumped over. Just like bleeding from his head. A cut opened up on his brow. Looking a little bit fat and jiggly because he just come off the couch. So sad. And I like Islam too. I don't hate Islam by any measure of the word. And I want him to become the GOAT because I fucking hate John Jones, right? And this was, I guess, for him coming closer. But it was the end of Volk getting another title shot at lightweight, right? And now he's too old. He's beat Lopez twice. He's going to fight probably Movsar Evloev. Why do I do this to myself? Why do I make these kind of videos if I know that this shit's really that deep for me? All right, let's just move on, bro. On to the number 1 event. Now, if you've been part of the channel for the last month, I think, you'll know where this is because my most popular video on the channel is of this event. Ilya versus Gaethje, bro. Like I said, I love Ilya. This guy's our first Spanish champion, but that's not the reason I was sad. Any other circumstances, I would be so happy to watch Justin Gaethje win. But the situation we were in, we were going to get a real legitimate triple champ attempt if Ilya Topuria moved up to fight Islam Makhachev. The hype, that would have been, Conor versus Khabib too. Fuck Ian Gary, bro. That would have been the fight. That shit evaporated. And we got Justin Gaethje put on an amazing masterclass to beat Ilya. But this guy, Justin Gaethje, is going to be around for 1, maximum 2 fights. And that's it. And now there's just a permanent stain on Ilya's career because of this fight, because of this result. Ilya got his ass beat, bro. The game plan was bad. Came in there expecting to finish Justin Gaethje. For whatever reason, went into the wrestling, went into the jiu-jitsu, tried to submit him. Not the move, bro. Not the move. You got short, stubby legs. Why are you throwing up triangles, bro? Why are you going for arm bars, bro? We're in the second round. You guys are both sweaty and bloody. It was just tragic because watching this live, I remember I have talked about this in this video. You guys can go rewatch it if you want, or you can guys go watch this video on my channel. Driving back in my car, quiet, bro. Not a peep on the streets. It was 6 a.m. People hadn't even gotten up, to go work yet. It was a fucking Monday, and I was just driving in the car. Not even my own car. I was driving my grandpa's car, little Volkswagen Beetle, bro. Driving, no AC, no nothing. Windows rolled down, no music. Eyes on. If someone crosses the road, God bless you, brother. I'm running you over. I'm not paying attention to where I'm going. Okay? I'm driving down the road, just thinking. Just thinking and feeling, man. And then all the quotes that happened afterward. Alexandre Topuria talking about, for you, he's Ilya, the Matador. For me, he's my little brother, right? I had to stop the fight. The way he looked, he changed his face, man. Justin Gaethje changed this man's face, and I watched it happen in real time. First round goes by. Justin Gaethje wins that round. I'm like, okay, bad start, whatever. Ilya Topuria loses most of the first rounds he's in, He lost first round to Volk, lost his first round to Max. Second round drops him. Looks gassed. Oh, man. Ilya Topuria looks gassed. Fuck! It was... I'm feeling it again, man. There's a tear coming to my eye. I can't talk about this, bro. Ilya Topuria versus Justin Gaethje, 100% the biggest heartbreak I've experienced as an MMA fan, especially of the last, couple months, couple years. And I don't know if anything will ever top it. I don't know if I will have to make a video like I made where I was just talking. And I will never feel this pain again. And I hope that's true. All right? Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for watching. What do you guys think about my biggest heartbreaks? What are your biggest heartbreaks? Maybe the Conor injury is a little higher for you. Do you guys care as bad about the Ilya loss as I do? I feel like I'm pretty alone on that one. Thank you guys for watching again. I will see you next video. I'm going to go eat something. Ciao, ciao.